Man, oh man, oh man. I have been inconsistent with these and I do apologise, but let's get this one done. I didn't do it last week. I did it the week before, but last week ran out of time. And I know this is supposed to be the extraordinary podcast where we don't make excuses for not having the time, but it is what it is. And here we are. We are on for whatever episode this one is going to be. This one's going to be a really good one because we've had a couple of things happen since last time. We have done our Become Unbreakable workshop that was a complete success last Saturday, and I've written 2 blog posts that we're going to run through today that is completely involving that. So the first one we're going to read through today is the Never Be Shaken Again, how to live an unbreakable how to live an unbreakable mindset and thrive when life gets tough. When we did the Unbreakable workshop, there was few vulnerable moments during that one. It was really cool to be able to share my own story with everybody, which might end up popping up during the course of this one. However, if you did follow us along before we had to delete it thanks to some people, you would have heard that story anyway, so it will come up anyway at some point. But for now, let's get into the blog post. This week's reading on the blog post for the podcast of the Extraordinary Podcast is Never Be Shaken Again, How to Build an Unbreakable Mindset and Thrive When Life Gets Tough. In my 37 years on this beautiful planet, it has become apparent that plenty of people out there would love to and deserve to start becoming unbreakable. Becoming unbreakable is a concept that resonates with so many of us. At the same time, we try to do the supposed simple task of navigating the demands of life, striving for resilience and purpose. The thing that we all must learn, though, is not about being untouchable or immune to hardships. That life will not become any less painful if it brings to us its suffering, but becoming unbreakable after many years of research, reading books, and living through my own trials and tribulations is about developing and identifying is about developing an identity, so grounded that no setback or challenge can shake us. To me, this isn't just some lofty idea. It is the practice of shaping our lives around a few core elements. Now, when you do my Unbreakable workshop, you'll see I draw a pentagon. I'm not going to edit it in here because, 4 people watch this, and so that's okay. Identity. So the pentagon looks like this. It's 5-sided shape and it has identity, values, principles, habits, and mindset. Together, these elements form the framework of a resilient and focused life, one that weathers the storms of life. Through my journey, I've seen how these elements form. The starting point is knowing who you are and why you are here. This sense of identity anchors us, especially when life throws us off course. For me, understanding my purpose has been crucial. From the age of 15, I vowed to a friend, here it is, the vulnerable part. From age 15, I vowed to a friend that I would become something greater, something more significant than just personal success, but impacting the world and the people around me. Suppose you haven't heard me mention it before. In that case, I love Evan Carmichael's book, Built to Serve, where he emphasizes that our lives become meaningful when we see ourselves as contributors rather than individuals seeking fulfillment. In my experience, when we have a strong sense of identity, we can keep ourselves grounded, giving us a reason to stand firm even when the going gets tough. After identity, our values are another part of this foundation. We have the power to guide our actions and decisions, especially in moments when taking shortcuts might seem appealing. I believe a lot of people get this wrong. And at the risk of getting into some considerable tangent here, which is very, very likely, I'll say values are not the thing you hate about life and words to help hang out your dirty laundry of what you don't like about the things that have happened to you. Living by our values requires commitment and sometimes even sacrifice. Something as powerful as when God so loved the world, he gave his only son, which is John 3:16. A sense of servitude so elaborate that it is as powerful as giving yourself to the world. That level of service and value has the power to keep us strong. Values must be more than words or ideals. They must become a way of life. In John Maxwell's High Road Leadership, he talks about the high road, the choice to do the right thing even when no one's watching. Practically, this means acting with integrity, empathy, and respect, focusing on what's right over what's easy and convenient. Through my own life, I've found that when I've lived without personal values or committed to a certain rule book based on my values, especially in hard times, oh my God, the amount of hard times, navigating those hard times was harder. Once I'd worked through the steps and worked out what I truly valued, I felt stronger and could move on through trials like a duck swimming in a pond. They act as my compass, helping me stay on course when I might otherwise be tempted to drift, because as the great Stoic Seneca said, if a man knows not which port he sails, no wind is favourable. Thirdly, after you've identified your values, comes principles, the frameworks that turn values into actions. While values tell us what's important, principles show us how to live by them daily. Without a solid framework, even the best intentions can become lost in the busyness of life. In Essentialism by Greg McKeown captures the essence of prioritizing what's truly important by doing first things first. It's about removing distractions, clearing away the noise, and focusing on what moves us closer to our purpose. In my own life, this has meant structuring my time around what matters most: fitness, community, knowledge, personal growth, and my own time. When I filter decisions through these principles, I know that I'm spending my time in a way that reflects my true priorities and potential as a leader. The real challenge isn't doing more, it's doing what matters most. And as I've learned, this discipline builds resilience and keeps us on track no matter what life throws our way. Ooh, this is a long one today. Between principles and good mindset is building the habits that help you develop your principles into more actionable tasks. One of the best ways to do this is to reverse engineer and use a concept that I can't remember where I found it, but it is called the do not do's list. Years ago, I used to get trying to get ahead of myself on my reading and trying to put in my own 10 cents worth too fast. Years ago, I used to try and use a to-dos list and always found it very, very anxiety inducing. I would sit down, write down everything I wanted to do, and then freak out about how much there was to do. To overcome this, I changed tactics and wrote down the things I didn't want to do instead, and build a foundation of being able to beat the system. If I was going to work out, I wrote instead, do not skip a workout. I found it was more motivating if it was written down. I found it was more motivating if it was written down as a do not do it. This also comes from the fact that people are generally motivated in 4 different ways, and each of us is different. When I was 27 and in the middle of a midlife crisis, well, it was a midlife crisis back then, I think it was 26, 27, yep. I went to Jurien Bay with some friends. After a night on the beers, we were having breakfast at a cafe just down the road from a skydiving office. Clearly, from there, we could go skydiving. My friend tried to convince me to go skydiving, but I would not budge and did not want to do it. First, he just tried to cheer me on, telling me it would be cool if I went skydiving. This is a positive style of motivation that works in some people and in some situations. It means doing the thing for the sake of just doing the thing. Pretty much like washing the dishes, some people don't really need motivation to wash dishes. It's just something that you do. Secondly, he tried to motivate me by offering to pay for my ticket. This is called extrinsic motivation, to do the thing. He spends the money and I do the thing. Thirdly, intrinsic motivation. He sold the idea to me as a dream. How good it would be to fly in the air, touch down on the sand, and tell everybody I went skydiving. None of that worked until he said, I knew you wouldn't do it. You are a no man. Without a word of a lie, I got up, walked to the skydiving office, paid for my own ticket to go skydiving, and was in the air within the hour. The moral of the story is that when it comes to habits, it is very important to know what motivates you, because with that knowledge, you will be able to build a foundation that helps you succeed. Sure, you wash your dishes, but will you exercise more because your membership is expensive? Maybe you want to read more, so tell yourself you will buy a new dress if you read a book in a month. Or you stop breaking promises to yourself every day because somebody has called you out on your bullshit and you are sick of it. Either way, to build solid foundations of habits, you need to know what motivates you and put that strategy into play. Quick disclaimer, I'm very much a negative person, so if something's like, oh, I thought you were going to do that, or if I'm going to let other people down, like it's all that sort of stuff. The whole reason why I keep doing this podcast was it was a promise that I made to myself, and I don't want to be known as a no guy. I don't want to be known as the guy who starts stuff and doesn't do it again. They're the things that form the habits, and for that reason, I have a very strong habit base. But in saying that, my kids, if I offer to buy them something, they will do it. They're extrinsically motivated at that point and at that age. And I'm sure at some point that was the case for me too. But you need to find your way when it comes to habits. Finally, we get to mindset. In many ways, this is what brings everything else to life. How we approach setbacks, challenges, and adversity shapes our resilience. Carol Dweck's concept of a growth mindset is fundamental here and very popular in self-development. The idea isn't just having a positive attitude, it's about believing in our capacity to grow, even when faced with failure. For me, this mindset goes hand in hand with the Stockdale paradox, a principle named after Admiral Jim Stockdale, who you can read about in Good to Great, with Jim Collins, who endures incredible hardships as a prisoner of war. The paradox involves maintaining faith in the outcome while facing the brutal reality of the current situation. This embodies an unbreakable mindset that balances optimism with realism and holds into hope without ignoring the present challenges. In my experiences, though, the unbreakable mindset doesn't stop at being optimistic or positive. It grows into what I call the constant developer mindset, or as the education department calls it, living the life of a long-time learner. It is about consistently assessing, learning, and growing regardless of success or failure. In becoming unbreakable, do not expect an easier path to navigate. It means having the courage to keep going, adapting, and growing along the way. Underlying all of this, I've found the power of how we use words. There is a very good reason John 1:1 says, "In the beginning was the Word." A verse that reminds us of the profound influence our words can have. Words are powerful. They shape our reality and they reflect the direction we're heading. While we aren't as almighty as God and can't just create light in the heavens and earth from our words, we can create meaning and purpose with the words we choose to control our lives. When we speak about our values, principles, and purpose, we reinforce them, bringing them to life through our commitments and actions. We are telling a story and being able to play out the narrative of our situation our way. Our words matter because they express our beliefs, priorities, and ultimately our identity. To become unbreakable, it is a lifelong journey. It's about showing up each day with the resolve to live our identity, values, principles, habits, and mindset. This doesn't make life easier. It simply makes us better prepared to face it. Becoming unbreakable isn't about achieving perfection or invincibility, but more it's about finding resilience, growth, and a commitment to making a meaningful impact on our lives and those around us. Each of us has this potential. I'm going to go back and reread this because I'm going to do this as I think a snippety part of the video, so bear with me. Each of us has the potential, and when we ground ourselves in what truly matters, we can become not only unbreakable, but capable of creating a life of real purpose and enduring strength, knowing who we are, what we believe in, and that our actions are what guide us to serve this life as best as we can. It's cool when I read something like this because doing this sort of whole writing of a blog post, reading the blog post, putting it on YouTube for you guys is kind of part of me developing my writing capabilities, being able to find some, I don't know, some solitude, I guess, in being able to express my emotions, but be able to build something that I think is truly passionate for you guys out there in the wide world. It's taken a lot to get to this position. Again, if you do my workshop, we talk about the 2 times that I've considered, not being here anymore. We talk about just to share that story because personally, I've been broken a few times through my own faults, through bad decisions, like we all have been. I think we're all on that trajectory. And I believe deep down that we all want to succeed more than what we are. I've written about that in a blog post before and read it out for you guys that There are so many things that we want to do, and we can do them. We should be those things. We can be those things. We can dream bigger, and we can do more. I don't have the answer to how that works, but I do have the answer to help us stop breaking every time something gets in our way. We hear it from the Stoics about, you know, the obstacle is the way, and life is suffering, as the Buddhists call it, or we can live in hell on earth, and a lot of us do on a regular basis, but we have the power and the capabilities to break that cycle, and we can do and be more if we know what our path is and our journey. I'm actually not going to read the second blog post today because I think this keeps us nice and short and sharp, but this gives us a good opportunity to reflect. Start with your identity. Be something. Do stuff. Have what you're chasing from the be and the do part. That's how you do identity. Then set up your values. What do you value more than anything? Mine are fitness, community, knowledge, loyalty, integrity, and time. When you do the course with me, you'll find on the workshop, we try and create an acronym. So every day when you wake up, you can actually see yourself being that thing. Mine's FCK lit. You get the idea. One of the girls that was on the course, on the workshop last weekend, we called it that hers happened to work out with, her name was Kel, and it worked out to be Kill It. She's going to kill it, kill it, but Kel It. You get the idea, that play on words. One other girl was a vet and hers was fish. These things that make our values relevant, that is important for us to do. We then set our principles are like a do not do's list. It's the things that we're not going to do, and then our habits help us reflect into the things that we are going to do based on our motivational strategies. And in our mindset, if we can just change it, we're not a victim, but we're also not just a growth mindset. We're a constantly learning and developing mindset. We can change a lot about the happiness and the breakability that we feel from our lives. And that's the point of this blog post. If you haven't read it yet, go back, have a read. If you want to hear this video again, do that. If you like what I've thrown out there today, give it a like, give it a share. Comment below about your favorite part or what you want to hear me talk about again next. But we're going to leave it there for today, guys. Have a great day. Always remember, get up, get after it, become extraordinary, and I'll see you next week.